Hi guys, Terrain again. Hope you guys like the board. Like I said, this is the next video is now on Monday. And I wanted to talk to you just basically about the board, really, with nothing on it. I've just also watched Girl Painting's video about inspiration, so it's also going to be talking about where I got the inspiration for the board. First of all, I'm going to give you what I call the history of the board, or why in actual fact the tower are here in the first place anyway. The planet is Tyrannus 5, and Tyrannus 5 is actually located, you see this is the location of the Tau Empire, and just there, you see where the lighter star is just above there. Tyrannus isn't really known for anything. It didn't really give particularly many platoons to the Imperial Guard. It was 10 platoons to the Imperial Guard. What it did have was a mass of resource. There are 6 planets in the system. The first 2 planets are too close to the Sun and are dead. The third planet is similar to Earth, but its actual atmosphere is not made of oxygen, it's made of methane. The remaining planets are all very similar, hard rock planets, just kind of floating around. 2 of them, Tyrannus 5 and Tyrannus 6, are really close to each other, and it seems by the actual planetary alignment that Tyrannus 6 will eventually hit in Tyrannus 5. Now, Tyrannus' system, as I've already said, isn't a particularly hostile system, nor is it particularly known for anything other than resource. The Farsight Enclaves are a series of fortress worlds, if you're not a Tau player, that are held by Farsight. He is no longer supplied by the Tau Empire and is seen as a renegade. So in order to continue his need, he needs resources. Tyrannus 5 wasn't the closest, but it was the least protected. Basically, Tyrannus 5 was literally just a mining world, very similar to how the board is now. Literally large cliffs, very, very minimal vegetation. It was hardly terraformed. Basically all the miners were just equipped with rebreather systems. It wasn't even particularly well fortified. It was just get the materials, get them out, ship them around the more important worlds in the universe. So the actual assault came as a bit of a surprise, really, because, like I've already said, it didn't really do anything to harm the Tau. Its just main advantage was its resources. When the assault came, they had no idea anything was going to happen. The first sign that they actually got was the sudden and complete misunderstanding of technical readouts. Lots of the ships, the Aquili landers, and a lot of the bulk transporters suddenly kept having technical issues, and they didn't know why. Unbeknown to them, a series of stealth suits and Pathfinder teams had infiltrated the systems, and were starting to shut down the systems on some of the abandoned areas. This is just one of the unactive mines. When the actual full-on assault came, most of the stealth suit teams and the Pathfinder teams had already taken out the main system of command. One of the biggest things that also happened was that they didn't really want to have to annihilate the population that were there. Most of the miners were just slaves. So instead of killing them, most of the stealth teams who you'll see on the board coming out of the tunnels just trapped them deep underground, but eventually they can get themselves out if the Imperium actually ever gives a damn and comes and gets them. As you can see, most of the place is just really battered and worn down. Lots of rust, lots of weathering, beat up. Although Tyrannus 5 might not have much of an atmosphere, it does still have water due to the bad terraforming. So it does get quite heavy storms. As I said, the minimal vegetation does grow in the toxic pools that have been left over from the waste of the mining system. So if you can see, the waters have got a greenish hue, and underneath there's a line of oxidised sediment that's just literally sunk to the bottom. This particular outpost is of nothing of importance. The actual bastion itself was one of the larger ones within the first couple of miles of the landing site, but most of the weapon systems were removed by Mechanicum adepts due to the fact that they could be used elsewhere. The only thing that was left behind was a single flamer. Due to the largest threat to the Tirana system was a Orc world in the next system along, but after a repeated assault by the Orcs, it just wasn't thought that they were going to come back. As you'll see on one of the bases on the XV9, there is in actual fact a dead Killican as part of the history and stuff like that, so he's not just there for the sake of it. When the main assault came, like I said, most of the miners were trapped underground. The actual Imperial Guard there were lax, really unarmed. As I said, most of the Mechanicum had came and stripped it down to its bare bones. So the actual taking of the planet was very, very easy. But just for the sake of terrifying the Imperium, well, not terrifying the Imperium, but showing their might, Farsight decided to deploy his entire force, other than that, left on the actual Enclave world. So planning out the board, I got my inspiration from this from just basic history, really, just stories and backgrounds, just what would happen when a resource is fought over, although not very well protected. Just looking at history programs, and of course looking at the books as well. There are a stupid amount of stars on this book page, so you can imagine that quite a few of these star systems are just not really cared about. Other than the named planets and stuff, they don't really give a damn. There's of course the Tau Empire, the classified area of actual where Tau is, and then the enclaves go wee around there. In actual fact, they've got that arrow a little bit wrong. Shouldn't really be there, it should be further down. But oh well, no one really cares about the Tau, they're too small. So, as you can see, I've got the bastion there. I mean, going back onto the inspiration and stuff, it was just, I had a Farsight Enclave force for a couple of years. I never got round to finishing it. It was my very first 40k army, because I loved the idea of technology, but not being fixed to the idea of the greater good. I'm not a communist. Of course, I had the Akoya Lander from years and years ago from, was it the 4th starter set? Yeah, no, it must have been Battle for Macragge, 4th one. Ultramarines and Tyranids. So, Tyranids and the Ultramarines have disappeared into the bits box into other people. But, I mean, crafting the foam just into this basic, run-down, dirty, ore-filled muck. It's just a nice world. And it also complements the army. I'll go grab a man. Where the guys are quite beat up, I've also sprayed them with a more shiny varnish, so they stand out on the actual board. So you can see, got the darker earth, but these guys do stand out. And of course, you've already seen, when you have a mass of them, they look quite good. Anyway, there's your video of today. So there's just the board as she is, basically empty. What do you guys think of the board? Leave me some comments and some ideas, because Games Day is not far away. And I hope you understand what I mean by inspiration. Just look at random programs and stuff like Discovery. There's always something on. So have a nice day, guys, and well, go back to the video before and go for the contest, and you might win stuff. Alright guys, have a nice day.